put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome back to Youth Wednesdays on the Tobago Updates morning show. So, raw is low ends. Depending on your age, you may or may not be able to decipher this phrase commonly used by young persons. This morning, we're chatting with the Youth Council representative as well as the youth representative on the National AIDS Coordinating Committee, Miss Kimberly Gilbert. Good morning to you, Miss Gilbert.
Hi, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm blessed, always blessed.
Okay, wonderful. So tell us about yourself and your role and responsibilities on the National AIDS Coordinating Committee.
Sure. My name is Kimberly Gilbert. I have a background in sexual and reproductive health. I would have started as a behavior change communication educator under the PSI Caribbean Got It Get It project. So, as I say, depending on name and age, persons may know, same with the Got It Get It project. And through there, I've had several trainings through UNFPA, also retrained through PSI Caribbean, worked for the Caribbean HIV and AIDS Alliance for family planning, and also working still in HIV and AIDS at the Ministry of Labor.
Okay, and Roy's Law. It's a very interesting name for an event. Tell the viewers a little bit about the title of the event as well as the event itself.
Sure, no problem. One more thing I wanted to add, because I realized I didn't fully answer your first question, which is my role and function on the National AIDS Coordinating Committee is to really link youth issues to that the decision makers in terms of the National AIDS Coordinating Committee being that body that is multi-sectoral, that coordinates events and activities as well as responsibilities in prevention, treatment, care, and advocacy around HIV and AIDS. Raw is low. So, as you said, if you're of a certain demographic, you would definitely know that song that came out. And what that really means is it's the absence of using condoms during sexual intercourse. So it's what this session is about is like saying, okay, if this is a decision that you're making, then these are the risks that you're willing to take. And are you willing to take those risks? Are you making a decision that is fully informed? So these are the type of questions that we're really going to dive into in this session, which will be really excited.
Okay, and you are the youth representative on the committee, and obviously, as you would have said, the title itself speaks to a certain demographic. But are you only catering to young persons, or can persons who probably never heard about this Roy's Law thing in their life, are they also welcome to attend the events?
Okay, so the Tobago Youth Council would have designed this event in mind for young persons between the ages of 18 to 35, right? But we're seeing where in Trinidad and Tobago that youth between the ages of 15 to 25, they account for a large proportion of new cases of HIV in Trinidad and Tobago. Actually, youth account for 25% of the persons presenting positive on an annual basis. And we're thinking, okay, where are youth getting information, reliable, true information on HIV and AIDS and transmission and prevention? And things like Roy's Law doesn't really help to prevent this large number of 25 cases. We also have youth between the ages of 10 to 29 account for 35 to 40% of people who are tested annually. And this session, we really want to achieve more persons coming forward for testing because we see where stigma and discrimination actually prevents people from getting tested. And what happens is then you have more incidences of HIV being transmitted, as well as persons who are tested and they're positive. A lot of times, what we see is that they're presenting late with the disease.
Okay, and in terms of bringing awareness to the usage of contraceptives, how important would you say it is for young persons, not only at, well, you said from 18 to 35, but I mean, we know you also mentioned persons from as early as 10 years old. How important would you say it is to bring this at the school level, perhaps?
Definitely at a school level, there should be conversation around prevention. There should be that conversation around how do you take care of yourself. I've seen nationally very recently there's conversation around comprehensive sexuality education and should that be a part of schools. But I think what persons don't often realize that this is part of a larger network. There's a bigger continuum, a bigger landscape with which comprehensive sexuality thrives. So you're talking about self-esteem, personal development, social skills. We're talking about negotiating condom use and these different things. So as we know within Trinidad and Tobago, once you are under the age of 18, you cannot give consent for sex, right? And a lot of people don't know that, but that is what it is. So we also have to look at what are the tools, the skills, what are the resources that the young people need in order to speak out. Because someone at the age of 10, more than likely it's a much older person that would have interfered with that person. So how do we get young people to know this is an avenue that I can take if someone is doing this to me? And also to let persons know that it's not their fault, because a lot of time the perpetrator will make them think that they are at fault, right? And also know where can I turn to with this information. So it's a lot of prevention that would take place when we look at comprehensive sexuality education, and I of course support that being in schools.
Okay. And Roy's Law is one event that the National AIDS Coordinating Committee is doing, partnering with a couple other groups, and we'll talk about that a little later on. But what else is the committee doing to ensure that young persons all over Trinidad and Tobago are aware of the options that are available to them?
Sure. The National HIV and AIDS Coordinating Committee also has an HIV helpline, which is an avenue, is a toll-free number that anyone can call to find out information about HIV and AIDS. That is 800-4448. So that number, anyone can call between the hours of 6 a.m. and 12 a.m. at night. What we would have done, especially this year, we would have gone into institutions such as Civilian Conservation Corps and really share information to the young people. Sometimes in a session, we had like over 100 students, but we really did a lot to cover what is HIV, what is AIDS, how is it transmitted, how do we prevent it. We talked about U equals U, undetectable equals untransmittable. We also did recently at the end of August, we would have partnered with the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service, and we did an orientation session with all of the youth development officers in Trinidad, and we're scheduling to do Tobago as well. And we would have oriented these youth officers because they're the ones who are on the ground with young people daily, and we want them to transfer that information to the young people. So we're really looking for avenues as to how can we filter this information directly to the young people that need the information.
Probably some young person watching right now, they're probably looking back at the video a little later on, and they say, well, they don't really need to come to this event because it's information that they can receive online. What would you say to that young person? Why is it important for them to come and get the hands-on information as opposed to just searching something on Google?
Oh, definitely, because it's going to be amazing. At the end of the day, once I facilitate sessions, it's going to be interactive. So, one of the things that I love to do is play games. So, we're going to have definitely something that I love to call the Condom Olympics that's going to be played. We're going to learn hands on information as to how to even use a condom. And a lot of the time, some of the things that you see online, depending on this, you don't know which sites to trust, right? So this session, you're going to get that hands-on information. You're going to learn with your peers. You can ask questions, and it's going to be extremely interactive.
Okay, and you mentioned earlier that you all are partnering with the Tobago Youth Council. Who are some of the other persons that you'll be partnering with to host this event?
So this in addition to the Tobago Youth Council and the National AIDS Coordinating Committee, we have the Rotaract Club of Tobago as well as the Trinidad and Tobago Youth Ambassadors.
And what is the expected outcome of the event? I mean, you would have mentioned it earlier. You just want, young persons to be aware of the options that they have available and that kind of thing. But what was the goal? I mean, in the whole, designing aspect of the project and all of that?
Sure. With Tobago, we would have signed on to the 95-95 goal. And that goal is 95% of persons who are living with HIV know their status, 95% who know their status, treatment, and 95% of those persons who aren't, they are viral suppressed. And what that means is they're unable to transmit HIV to their partner. In order to do this, sessions these allow to share the information, for talk about stigma and discrimination, for us to encourage persons to have better health seeking behavior so that they are able to get tested so that we can prevent late stage prevention and reduce the number, that high percentage of young people presenting with HIV as part of the new cases every year. So we really want this session is geared towards equipping youth with the information that is necessary so that they can make informed decisions, empowered decisions to learn more. And we know that there's a disconnect sometimes between information and behavior change, but it's really to get persons at that pre-contemplation stage where they really start to think about, okay, this is my behavior. How is this going to affect me? What do I need to do to protect myself? And I really want there to be a ripple effect. So we really want young people to share the information that they receive in this session because not everyone can be there, right? Unfortunately. So we really want them to share this information and ripple it into the community, into the spaces, into their WhatsApp groups, into their chats that they have, the little lives that they have, and keep the conversation going. Because once you keep the conversation going, there's going to become a point where this type of conversation will be normal conversation, where persons talk about what is best for my sexual health, what is best for your sexual health. Ask a question like, when last were you tested? And these are things that we need to have with our partners as well. So we really want to encourage that type of conversation.
So definitely. And as we wrap up the interview, we're going to share the flyer one more time so that you can give the viewers, just all the information regarding the event that is taking place tomorrow. Please go there. So row is low end.
So basically, this session will be taking place tomorrow, Thursday, 28th of September from 4 p.m. at the National Library in Scarborough.
Okay, viewers, so we're going to thank you very much, Miss Kimberly Gilbert, for coming on and chatting with us this morning. Remember, viewers, to share the live, share the live, share the live.